I'm going to show you how we pole out the jib when we're sailing downwind. A lot of people, this is talking about sailing dead downwind, a lot of people connect the spinnaker pole directly to the jib sheet, which has its limitations and can actually prove to be quite dangerous. So I'm going to show you how we pole out the jib in order to sail downwind, and it is called goose winging. Okay? So first of all, I'm going to show you the equipment we use to sail downwind and pole out the jib. The first thing we have is this line here. Now if you notice, it's got a big black stopper on it. Okay? And this end here, which is called a snap shackle, is what we connect to the clue of the genoa. Typically, this is exactly the same as we would use for flying the spinnaker, which I know some of you have done before. But the point is that this black stopper here will stop the jaws of the spinnaker pole getting caught in the bowline on your jib sheet, because if it does get caught on the bowline of your jib sheet, you would have the mother of the problem. So rig another line. This is the line we rigged. We're going to call this the guide. So we're going to show you how to rig that. So that's one piece of equipment. The next thing we need when we're sailing dead downwind is the jibe preventer, and this we're going to connect to the end of the boom in order to hold the boom. So that's the jibe preventer. And this line here I use to tie onto the end of the spinnaker pole in order to keep the pole back and out of the way of the forestay. It's another good safety line. So those are the three additional lines we need to sail dead downwind and pole out the jib. Now, I'm now going to show you the spinnaker pole and what it has on it and how we rig it. This is the spinnaker pole here, and on this boat it's quite a large one, as you can see, and it's quite heavy. You can get lighter ones, but this will suffice for our needs. So as you can see, I've got it clipped on to the guard wires. So we undo that end. Down the other end, it's clipped on to the stanchion with a quick release. So if I pull that, it takes it off. Now, if you notice on the spinnaker pole, you have this red line here. And this red line here opens the jaws of the spinnaker pole. And if you like to come down here and have a look, little piston thing here. Now if I pull that, it releases the rod. These lines here are for attaching the uphaul and the downhaul, one of which keeps the spinnaker pole up and the other stops the spinnaker pole from riding up. So we're going to show you how to rig that as well. Now, if we look at the other end, if I lay this here for a moment, if we look at the mast, this here is the other end of the spinnaker pole attachment. Call it the female part. It's on a system which allows me to raise and lower it. What I'm trying to achieve is I want to get the spinnaker pole to be parallel to the water and the same height as the clue of the sail. So what I'm going to do is, knowing my boat quite well, I'm going to set it to the sort of height I know it needs to be. Now you'll need to, on your own boats, assess the height of the clue. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it at about the right height, which is around about that. And then we literally jam off on whatever system your boat has, the line, like that. So that's the sort of height I want. When we actually come to deploy the spinnaker pole, or in this case the genoa pole for poling out the jib, the first thing we need to do is to put the female part here into the end. So pick it up, it's always a bit of a fiddle. Thank you. So this literally just slides in here. Give it a really good, make sure it's in nice and tight. To release it, there's a little button under here, which if we push, will eventually slide out. Good, so we're sailing effectively on a broad reach, but as I said earlier, I've got the main in much tighter than it would normally be on a broad reach, because if the helm lost concentration while we're rigging the spinnaker pole, the jibe wouldn't be as disastrous as it would be if it was out all the way as it normally would be on a broad reach. We're going to rig the jibe preventer a little bit later. I'll be showing you how to do that. But we're going to be concentrating now on holing out the jib. So I'm going to ask Olga, if you have a look on the port side, you'll see one of the clutches has uphaul on it. So if you could identify that. Yes, good. And the uphaul is what we're going to attach to the spinnaker pole. So Olga's going to be responsible for hauling up on the uphaul when required. And if you notice, Olga, there's also a clutch which says downwind. Now that we're going to attach to the other end, or the downside of the spinnaker pole. So you're going to be responsible for that. As there's quite a lot of wind, I've actually furled the jib in a little bit. And if you notice, the clew is about this sort of height. The clew is just the female part of the spinnaker pole to the same height. So if I release this line here, and I pull it down, that's the height we want the spinnaker pole. Okay? So I'm going to jam it off on the clam cleats there and there. Good. So that's all ready to go. Now, Neil and Oleg, what I'd like to do, please, is to undo the spinnaker pole and then insert her into the female pole on the mast. Good. That's good. So keep her head low. And Neil, slide it in. Give it a good old shove. Drop down. That'll do. What I'm going to do now is we're going to attach. Drop down again, please. We're going to attach the uphaul and the downhaul to the spinnaker pole. So, Olga, when I say so, if you'd like please to release the uphaul initially, and then the downhaul, so we can clip them off. Now, the uphaul and the downhaul. The uphaul is the blue line. And this is clipped on at the foot of the mast. So if you release both of those, please. Good. So making sure that it's free of any other hazards and lines, we're going to take this forward and we're going to show you where we clip this on to the spinnaker pole. So if you'd like to come forward with me. Okay, so first of all we need to make sure that this spinnaker pole is round the right way. So I'm going to turn it so the jaws open downwards. What we're going to do now is we're going to clip the uphaul into the toggle on the top. Now what I want you to do now is to grab this red line here, which is the downhaul, pull it through and clip that onto the bottom. Good. So, Olga, if you'd like to go back in now, please. When I say so, I'd like you to haul up on the uphaul, okay?
Haul up.
Making sure that the downhaul is still loose. Lay that back down. The next thing we need to do is to rig the line with a black stopper on it to go through the jaws of the spinnaker pole. Okay, so remember, if you're undoing a line, always undo it carefully, less chance of it getting fouled. So we referred to this earlier as the guide. Now this I'm going to clip on to the clew of the jib. So that goes through there like that. We make sure sure that it's locked in tight. What we're going to do now is we're going to take this end and we're going to put it through the jaws of the spinnaker pole. So this comes forward. Remember, one hand for you, one hand for the boat. So we come forward with the line. Now, if you'd like to lift the pole up a little bit for me, please. Good. Remember, this red line releases the jaws. So if we open the jaws, pull that through while they go forward. We need to make sure it's forward of this line. So I'm just going to clip it on. Okay, now close the jaws, please. Good. Right, so the guy is now attached to the clew of the jib. The next thing we need to do is to take this line, and if we'd like to move back, please. Over here we have the block. I'm going to detach it from the guard wire. Make sure it's outside the guard wires, this end. Stuff it through the block. Take up a little bit of the slack. What we're going to do now is we're going to drop it over the winch which we use for the jib sheet. So that can go on there like that. So that's rigged, ready to go. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to push the spinnaker pole up. So Oleg, if you go forward, please. Now I want you to push the pole up while Olga, you tighten up on the uphaul. Stand up, tighten up a little bit on the... That's good. The pole is pretty much parallel to the boat, so that's good. Okay, we now need to attach my next line, which keeps the pole back. So I'm going to use the black and white one. This one here. If you want to come forward to have a look. This one we tie with a bowline to that little white lanyard where the uphaul is clipped on. This line we're now going to take all the way back into the cockpit. We're going to cleat it off because we're going to use this line to pull the pole back towards the shrouds. Okay, so if you want to shoot in on the pole now, to pull the pole back onto the shrouds, like so. And I'm going to now clean her off. Goose wing the jib, or to tack the jib in order that we can sail dead downwind. Now remember, the helm's been keeping us on a beam reach, so I'm going to ask the helm to bear away a little bit. So we're sailing downwind with the wind ever so slightly on the starboard quarter. Yep. Good. As we do that, we're going to pull the jib over by pulling in on the guy, not the jib sheet. Okay. So what I'd like you to do, please, Neil, is you're going to ease the jib sheet, and Oleg, you're going to pull in tight on that one. Okay. So, my first command to the helm is going to be to bear away a little bit. So bear away a tiny bit, making sure, tell us when you're pretty much on course. The jib is now collapsing. So Neil, ease off, and if you pull in on the guy, that's it. Now, Neil, keep pulling. Pull, 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 pull. Good, there we go. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Okay, now winch it up a bit tighter, please. And there we have a nicely pulled out jib. So now we can start thinking about easing the main off and rigging the jibe preventer. Before we do that, I'm just going to point out exactly which line is doing what on the spinnaker pole. The red line is stopping the pole from riding up. Yeah? The blue and white one on the very end of the spinnaker pole is keeping the pole at the height we want her. Obviously we can adjust that a little bit if we want to, but for the moment, let's keep her as is. This line here, if we wanted to release the guy, which is clipped onto the clew of the sail, if we release that, it'll drop out. Very important to make sure that it can drop out. Now, remember we've got a black stopper in the end of the guy. I think I mentioned this earlier on, but I'm going to mention it again. The importance of that is that it stops the jaws of the spinnaker pole getting stuck in the bowline of your jib sheet. So it is really crucial that you rig an extra line to your genoa, or your jib, or whatever it happens to be. Okay? So, well helmed, Maxon, that was really good. A nice, safe helm. Fantastic. Now we're goose winging, heading dead downwind, with the wind ever so slightly coming from our starboard side behind us. Now, the beauty of this technique that I've just shown you is this. If we need to alter course very quickly, i.e. luff up and head in that direction, all we need to do, and I'm going to ask you to do it, is when I say so, I'd like you please, Oleg, beg your pardon, to release the guy. Neil, I'd like you to pull in on the jib sheet port side. So wrap it round the winch ready if you would. And helm, I'm going to ask you to steer up in this direction. We don't need to touch anything else. Okay, so helm, advise us you're luffing up. Check behind please first. Good. Forward. Okay. Yeah, well, luffing up, so head up. Okay, start pulling in on that one please, Neil. Keep it coming. Ease that right off, Oleg, all the way off please. Take it off. Good. Okay. Good. Broad reach. Black line which is holding the pole towards us, i.e. on the shrouds, just off the shrouds, hasn't gone forward and interfered with the jib, so it's beautiful. We can move and change our heading very quickly. Okay, Neil, that's fantastic, thank you. Good. We're now going to reset it. I'm going to show you how we can go the other way. Now, the beauty of this is, again, if I want to alter course to port, we're going to do a normal jibe. The jib's already on the right side. We're going to leave it on that side, and we're going to do a little turn to port, but not quite yet. We're still going to say stand by to jibe. Neil, if you'd like to sheet in hard on the main, please. Yep, hard as you can. Good.
Stand by to jib.
Now, I'd like you to grab the jib sheet, please, which is the blue and white one here. Come underneath the guy. So you come underneath, Oleg. Come underneath this one and back onto this winch here.
Pass the rope underneath.
Underneath. That's it. Okay, and then back onto this winch here if you would. Good. Okay, so we're now going to luff up. We're going to jibe through, beg your pardon, and then head off in this direction. So remember to stay low. Now the main sheet's in nice and tight. Neil, as soon as we're through the jibe, ease the main off please. Check behind that we're clear. If we're clear, call the jibe and do it.
Jibing.
Good. Stand by to jibe, jibe.
Stand by to jibing.
Good. That's it. Ease the main off once we're through. Good. And now if we want to reset the jib as normal, we just tighten up on the jib sheet and release the guy. But we're not going to do that because I want to jibe back through onto the other end as we're running out of water. So sheeting again on the main please. Okay, call the jibe again please.
Ready to jibe? Jibing.
Excellent. Good. And keep her on a broad. Keep her dead downwind. Excellent. Good. A little bit more support. Good. Hold it. Excellent.